Hello and welcome to the Her Handmade Hustle Unplugged podcast. I've recorded this introduction now about 10 times because I just can't get my words out today. Don't know what's wrong with me. So I'm just going to go with it. If I make a mistake, I make a mistake. I don't pause this. I just do it all in a wanna. So I'm just going to talk and hopefully get it right this time. How's your week been? I hope it's been good. Mine has been a little bit of a mixed bag, really. I don't know what it was. I've just not been feeling motivated this week to do any work, which is not like me at all. I just feel like it's just been one of those, difficult times for small businesses particularly. Things are quite slow. So yeah, I've not been seeing many results and it's been getting on my nerves a little bit. So I felt like I've needed to do something productive this week. So instead of working, I completely abandoned work and I decided to clean the house, do a few jobs around my lounge and things that have been sat around. And you have like piles of things just loaded up on the kitchen table that you need to sort through. So I decided to do that. I found it really cathartic, actually, just going through everything. And productive because sometimes, like I said, you just need to see results. And I think when you run your own business and things are slow and you don't see those results, it just gets really frustrating. And it's like I needed this sort of instant gratification of getting something done. The weekend, I pulled the carpet up in our lounge because it was full of all kinds of, muck and stains from my 4-year-old, dropping bolognese on there and spilling Vimto and whatever. And I'd had enough. So we just ripped it all up and we've got some laminate underneath, which was there when we moved in. I don't know why we thought it was so horrendous when we moved in because it's so much better than the carpet, that obviously heavily stained carpet that was down before. So yeah, as soon as I got that up, I felt great. I'd achieved something. I got this instant result and it set me on a bit of set me in motion really to kind of get more things done around the house. So that's been a bit of my focus this week. I've had a slight break from work, but I'm back on it today. I'm looking forward to recording this podcast. And I don't know if you've been following me on social media this week. On Instagram, I've been posting a daily tip every day to help people get found on Google. It's all about SEO for small businesses this week. So if you check my Instagram account every day around 8 p.m. UK time, you'll see that there's a different tip on there. Simple little things that you can do to help boost your business. And it's really ironic, really, that this week I dedicated the whole week to being about visibility because actually I've just felt myself totally invisible this week. It's strange. It's a really weird one because I've just felt a little bit lost. Like I said, I've had a few bad work days where it's felt like everything has just seemed so much harder than normal. There's been various boulders in my way, things that have just stopped me from getting where I want to be, or things that have generally gone wrong. And I think all of that combined together in a short space of time has just left me feeling really deflated and exhausted. It's not like me really, but I just thought, do you know what? I just can't work this week. I just need a little bit of headspace. And I was feeling particularly frustrated because I'd spent the last few days just trying to get Her Handmade Hustle out there in other ways, rather than social media, through other channels, just to let women know about me, let them know that I exist and that I'm here for them if they're sat there struggling and they don't know how to move forward. And I was being really proactive and really like entrepreneurial. I mean, that's not really a word, is it? But it should be. I might copyright that. I was sending these emails to people to see if they would feature me, if they would like to have a chat with me, and just no one has been replying. Everyone's ignoring me, my DMs. I spent a whole day on LinkedIn actually on Monday. I was setting it up, optimizing my profile. I did my first post, which took me honestly 6-7 hours, the whole day that my little girl was at nursery. I started sending some connection requests. And my sister, she's like a LinkedIn pro. She was ready to share my posts to all her followers. She's got loads of them, really popular. And I was feeling pretty motivated. And then I went to log in on Monday night and found that LinkedIn had just totally blocked my account for some stupid reason that wasn't even correct about, not meeting professional standards. I mean, God, it just didn't make sense whatsoever. And I couldn't even verify my identity, which they were asking me to do. It didn't even work. I was trying to get a picture of my driving licence so that I could send it to them. And for some reason, it was just blurry. I mean, I know how to take a photo, but I cleared the lens, I changed the light, but you just could not see anything on the picture. Like, you just literally couldn't see me. And that's why another reason why I felt so invisible. I was totally unseen. So I gave up about 10 p.m. and I just decided it's just not my week. And I was on the phone to my sister and we were both just feeling like the same for very different reasons, but deflated and exhausted. But we could still totally relate to each other. So yeah, this week we've just decided to ambush the evil plans that the days have had set out for us this week, whatever crap it's got in store for us, and just not work. Because, you can do that when you're self-employed at least, can't you? So you might as well take advantage of it. And I just decided to turn this feeling of being unseen in my work sort of capacity to my advantage and just relish in it. I thought, I'm going to hide away for the day. So, like I said, I cleaned my lounge. I was listening to like old school R&B music that I used to dance to every Saturday night until 3 a.m, in my 20s. The highest of heels. I used to last 7-8 hours in these heels. My feet didn't even hurt. Couldn't do that now. I sat on my little balcony overlooking the back of my garden in the corner where no one could find me and see me. And actually, it was really nice because sometimes it's okay to be unseen. I stopped taking it so personally. I stopped fighting it. And I thought if that's the way that work's going to go for me this week, then so be it. And I'll just try again next week. So I thought we'll talk about being visible this week, all about being visible, being seen. If you've got a small business, you might be feeling a little bit frustrated that your work isn't getting out there and people aren't seeing it. And I've been on social media quite a lot this week, like I said, catching up, seeing what all the lovely small businesses who I follow are up to and what they're creating. And there's such amazing products out there, like some really beautiful creations that women like you and me have made with their own two hands. They're stunning. They're absolutely gorgeous. I'm following more and more small businesses at the moment. So if you want me to follow you, just shout out, send me a message, find me on Instagram, DM me, whatever, I'll follow you back. In fact, I introduced Follow Friday to my account last week because I decided that it's a really good way to help these wonderful businesses get seen. So I'm going to be choosing 3 small businesses every week to follow, and I'll tag them in so they know that that they've been featured. And I just feel like that their stuff deserves to be seen, and I know that it doesn't get pushed out there as it should do on these platforms. So I'm going to do my part to help you once a week as well. So like I say, that's what this week's episode is all about. Visibility, being seen, getting found. Because I've noticed that a lot of the small businesses that I follow on social media, they're feeling quite disheartened of late. Myself included. Sales are low and so is engagement. And it is so disheartening and demotivating when you just feel like you can't catch a break and all your efforts are for nothing. And it makes me really sad too because I see this gorgeous stuff, these stunningly beautiful handmade creations that aren't getting seen. And so then, the seller then thinks that they aren't what people want. These products are not good enough or they're a failure. Well, it's not true. It is not true at all. It's just that they aren't being found, and at least not in the places that they should be. So I was going to talk today about social media. Actually, it's not the main place that we should be relying on being found. It's going to help, of course it is. There's a lot of people using it. And, your stuff might just reach the right person when they're randomly scrolling through their phone. But the chances, they are slim, unless that person is regularly engaging with you, which is why you always see the same people liking your stuff, because those platforms send it out to those people that have engaged with you. But yeah, the chances are slim that you're going to find a lot of new customers this way because, one, reach is poor. It is, unless you are obviously paying and spending money on advertising campaigns, which we all can't afford at times. And number 2, these people that are likely to see it, they aren't ready to buy. And this is the key. They aren't actively looking for whatever it is that you're selling. They've more than likely just come on Facebook and Instagram while they've got 5 minutes in between making a tea, or they're scrolling when they're putting the kids to sleep, hiding their phone under their bed, having a sneaky scroll, while you're waiting for them to fall asleep. Well, that's me anyway. It's painful bedtime. It's really painful. We need something to do to keep us from going insane, waiting for the little hyperactive sods to nod off. So, I don't think we should be ploughing all our efforts into being found on social media. It's not wise. It will leave you feeling deflated and probably questioning if your stuff or your services are any good. And just wondering why the hell people aren't buying them. And I'll tell you the reason why they're not buying them is because the woman who liked your post probably had about 2.5 minutes to catch up on the day's worth of social media gossip. She threw some quick love at whatever looked pretty on her screen and what resonated with her the most, and that's it. And then she moves on to the next thing. So, she is not your buyer. She is not in that position and ready to purchase. So if we aren't getting found on social media to the degree that we should be and that we want to be, what should we be doing instead? Where should we be ploughing all our efforts into to find the actual real people who want and who are ready to buy our stuff and services? Well, where do you go? And where's your first port of call when you are, say, you're intentionally looking for something to purchase? When you sat there of an evening, you got your credit card out, your glasses are on, your laptop's open, and you're looking for a present for, I don't know, someone's anniversary, okay? You're ready to purchase. Where do you go first to look online? It's Google. Google is often the first port of call for online shoppers. They're intentionally going on a search engine. They're typing in specific words and queries to find what it is that they're looking for, like, unique golden wedding anniversary gift or something, for example, or wooden sign for nursery decor, anything like that. Whatever it is, they're going online to buy it, and they're going to start with Google. And here's your answer. You need to be putting as much effort, if not more, into being found on Google as you do on social media. Okay, admittedly, it's not as fun as posting pretty pictures or, entertaining videos, but actually it's so much more rewarding and it brings you much more results. And I'll tell you how shortly with a little real life experiment that I did to prove this point. And you might be listening to this thinking that you don't know how to do that. Well, that's okay. That's what I'm going to talk to you today about as part of this week's SEO week. And this applies to not just product-based businesses, so you're selling products. This also applies to service-based businesses. It doesn't matter what you do. If you are online in any way, shape or form, you can use the information from today's podcast episode to help you get seen. And it occurred to me that I just don't think there's much out there in terms of help for us creative women when it comes to search engine optimization, the SEO. Something that speaks our language, because it is confusing. It can really send your brain into overdrive. It's one of them things that, you start opening up a tab on Google, you type it in, some help for SEO stuff, and then all this stuff comes up and you think, oh God, no, I can't, I have no idea. And you just close it down and forget about it and run for the hills. I've tried to Google it in the past, but I just end up feeling all overwhelmed and annoyed, that I've wasted 3 of my precious hours in an evening or whatever, and I've actually found out nothing useful. I've just confused myself even more. And I just think that there's a need for something simple and uncomplicated that's aimed at women who might be feeling like that, might be feeling frustrated and overwhelmed, maybe new to it, who might be a little bit older and not sure of where to start with all this SEO stuff. It terrifies me as well, but I have been learning it for the purpose of trying to share this information with you guys as well. And that's what I've decided to do today and have been doing all week on Instagram. So I hope it's been helpful so far. The daily tips I've been posting are just little things that you can do that are perfectly within your capability, and they will actually make a huge difference to your online visibility. So let's dive into today's episode. I'm talking about keywords. So I'm going to make it as easy to understand as possible, I promise. There's just loads of things that are going to get you found on search engines like Google, which I'll be talking about in the coming weeks. But we're starting today with keywords because at the end of the day, these are where other people, like our buyers, our customers, start when they're purposefully looking for whatever it is that you offer, say whether it's a product or a service. It doesn't matter what you do. If you've got an online presence of any kind, a website, an Etsy shop, a Facebook page, you need to be using the right keywords in order to even have a chance of popping up and matching someone's search query. So how the hell do you know what they are? Okay, so there's a few different ways to find out. Some of them might be obvious, which, some not. I'll talk about this again in a bit. But the first thing that you can do, I recommend is Googling it yourself. Okay, so pretend that you are your customer. You're ready to buy whatever it is that you're offering. You sat down on your phone, you open up Google, what do you type in? It might even be helpful at this point, if you're going to do it as you listen to the podcast or afterwards, get yourself a pen, a piece of paper and do a brainstorm, a good old-fashioned brainstorm. Nobody does them anymore. Write all your words down. So you want to be thinking about not only the product and service that you offer, but also who it's for and the occasion, if applicable. So you want to be thinking of the words that you'll be typing into that Google search bar to find what it is that you are offering. And ask friends and family as well for words that they would use if they were searching for it. Sometimes I type stuff in and then I think, I wonder what my friend would put in if she was looking for it. And it's actually totally different to me, but it means the same thing. So then I've got myself some more potential keywords that I could use in my brainstorm. So, for example, let's say that people were searching for some cupcake toppers. I make these for weddings or their kids' birthday party, say. And let's say they've got a rainbow theme. So they're likely to type in Google, I think, rainbow-themed cupcake toppers or rainbow-themed party decorations. Or they may type in, cupcake flags for children's party. Just make a list of all the possible search queries you think people would type in if they were looking for your product. Just do like a total brain dump, all on paper. And one way you can do this, a really good tip actually, is to start typing it in the Google search bar. So, when you've opened up Google and you get your bar ready to type in, start typing your product or service and see what comes up. So, like when it tries to predict what you're going to type, so you'll see like a list appearing as you start typing underneath. Well, that's not Google reading your mind, or trying to like annoy you by finishing your sentence. It's actually what it's doing. It's showing you the most popular searches and queries that people are putting in based on what you're saying. So, for example, let's say that you're searching for candles and you might want some homemade candles. You might want some especially scented candles, whatever. Start typing those words in and see what comes up. And that's what people have been looking for. So it's a really good way to see what's popular and you can gather some keywords that way as well. It's really good information because it's letting you know what people are looking for around your subject matter. So use it. Use those queries, write them down, and you can add them to your keyword list. And keywords are a little bit confusing because everyone thinks it's just like one word. But actually, keywords are more than one word. So you can have like candle or handbag. Okay, yeah, it's a word, but actually keywords are more likely to be short little phrases. So for example, luxury soy wax candles. These are keywords. You need a mix of specific and more general keywords and phrases, whatever you want to call them. So for example, if I was creating my cupcake toppers, I would be looking at incorporating the words cupcake toppers into my product description, as well as rainbow themed, as well as perhaps birthday decorations, rainbow cake flags, all these sorts of words people may type into the search bar if they were looking for that product. And you can also actually be a bit cheeky. You can find keywords by looking at your competitors' websites, Etsy shops, see what they are including in their content and descriptions. There's always a sort of a leading player, isn't there, in the industry, like your mortal enemy who always pops up on Google first before you. And go on their website, have a look what words they're using that represent what it is that you do as well, because they may be coming up with something different. You can actually use a free tool like Google Keyword Planner. This is something that I'll be talking to you about shortly. I say it's totally free and it will help you find some really good keywords that you could consider using. However, the list of keywords that you have found and put together is just step one. So you've got your brainstorm, you've got all the words that you think people may type into Google to find your product. That's just step one. And you're probably thinking, that, well, I already use most of these keywords and I'm still not coming up on Google. And you're probably right. And that's because you now need to know, for step 2, which of these keywords on your list are the best ones. Like the ones that are actually going to give you a chance of coming up. And this is where I'm going to help you. So this brings me to a little experiment that I did a few weeks ago. I was panicking because I have spent so long on the Her Handmade Hustle website, and I ploughed, like, honestly, every waking moment into it that I've had to optimise it, to get it looking fabulous, to get the information right, the content good, and to be found by these women that I'm trying to reach with small creative businesses who are looking for help, to let them know I am here to help them, and I just wasn't coming up on Google for the search terms that I should have been. So things like business coach for women or small business coaching and creative business coach. And I was like, why am I not coming up? These words are in my website. I should be appearing on Google. And it was really annoying me, and it was upsetting me and frustrating me, because I'd carefully written all my website content to reach these particular women looking for help. And I like writing. I like to think I'm good at it. I'm pretty capable. But I couldn't understand why I just didn't exist on Google. I had all the right keywords in there. I had coach, coaching, mentor, creative business, etc. I designed the website myself, one of these drag and drop platforms. It's really easy to use. So I knew all the settings were correct. I knew it was fully optimized for mobiles. Anyway, I did a bit of digging. I spent the last few weeks doing a bit of digging into keywords. And I found out that the keywords that I've been using, they were the right ones. Of course they were, because they were just the ones that describe what it is that I do, so they had to be included. But actually, they weren't the best ones. And there's a massive difference. And I found out that actually the best ones were totally different. And I spent a good couple of weeks learning some keyword planning tools, some of which I've had to sign up for, pay a monthly fee, and some of them were free. But I've discovered that the keywords that I've been using were being used by so many other people in my industry, because it's quite saturated, like a lot of things now. It's very hard to find something that someone isn't doing. And unless I was super famous and well-known and established, I wasn't going to come up. There was too much competition for those keywords, and I couldn't compete with them. So I started to look at what other words and phrases I could use that weren't as popular, but still had a decent amount of searches every month from my people who would be looking for me, enough to be worth it. And I found some different keywords, such as UK female business coach, creativity coaching, and creative business coaching for women. I found that these terms had high search volume, but low competition. So people were searching it. They were looking these terms up, and it was very specific terms as to what I do. So I know those people typing those words in were looking for what it is I offer. And the tools that I was using tell you how many people per month are searching it. So it's a good volume. But not many pages or websites were using them. So I'd found my sweet spot, and I got myself a list of these highly searched words with low competition, and I went about implementing them throughout my website. I wrote them really naturally into the titles and the headers on my website. I included them in the main content, in the description of my services and what I offer. I renamed all the images on my website. I included the words, those keywords that I mentioned in the title of the file. So, when you've got an image, before you upload it to your website or shop or whatever, you can right click on the image on a desktop anyway, and it says rename file. So it just gets generated a random number, doesn't it? Assigned a random number when you take a picture, even on your phone. It doesn't have a title or anything. It's just image 002561, whatever. So I changed those names to include, either what was in the photo or a description of me, my service, and using those keywords in there. I went into the meta descriptions on my website. I don't know if you know what those are, but meta descriptions are the little snippets of information that Google show people under the main website title when their results come up. So, when you've typed a search in, it brings up a load of websites, doesn't it? And then it has the sort of name of the website in blue, and then underneath it has a very short snippet. That's the meta description. And you can access this if you have access to your own website. These platforms that are really easy to use, like GoDaddy, and the one that I used is 123reg, they're all labelled on each page like meta description. You know exactly where they are, and you can just go in and change it. So I did that. I included all the keywords in there. It's usually quite straightforward. But if someone does your website for you, if you have one, you can drop them a message to make sure that the meta descriptions are all filled in correctly and they include the certain words that you find. If you don't have a website, though, you should definitely think about it, because it's so important. I will go into that again shortly, but it also counts for Etsy shops, and it counts for other marketplaces. Wherever you are online, you need to write your keywords into your descriptions, into your bio, your product descriptions, about you page, whatever. So I did all this, and then I went away on holiday a couple of weeks ago, and I forgot about it. I stopped stressing. I enjoyed my week away. It was fabulous. And I thought I'll just deal with it all when I come back, because honestly, I don't know if this strategy was enough to make my non-existent website just magically appear on Google. I didn't know, but I thought it was worth a shot. And it turns out it was enough. So I got home from my holidays, got back into work mode the following week eventually. You know what it's like, slow. I sat at my desktop and I thought, right, come on, Joanne, just Google it. Let's see if anything's happened. So I started Googling some search terms that I knew people were using to find the kind of thing that I could help them with. And there I was. Her Handmade Hustle was on page 1. On one of the queries, I was second on the list after the sponsored post, the people that pay to be first. And it had worked. Now, this whole process had been about probably 4 weeks in the making. So from when I started making the changes and adding these words in to seeing the results on Google, it took about 4 weeks. But I read that it can take up to 12 weeks for it actually to start working. So I was lucky that it was on the shorter side of things, but I'd actually done it. And it got me thinking, if I've done this for me, why can't I do it for other people too, who are struggling to get their products or their wonderful, helpful services found? Well, I decided that I could help, because it's what people want. They want to see information and useful things that are going to bring them results. It's like I was saying about being productive. So many things are so slow to happen, and we're desperate. We're desperate for things to be a little bit faster moving, and to get a result. And people, they want to be ahead of their competitors, not feel like that they're just plugging away at something tirelessly for 3 likes on Instagram, a comment from your auntie. It's like they want, or they need to be doing something that is going to make a difference, an actual difference to their visibility and ultimately their sales, because it's the only way to get in front of the right people who are ready to buy. Because they're the people that you want, not the scrollers, not the casual flickers through Facebook that give you a like, give you a comment. Lovely, of course it is, but they're not ready to buy. And you might have tried to do it before and you've not got very far, or you found it hasn't really done anything, and you just might want to give it a go again. I've always found that all the SEO stuff out there, I feel like it's really aimed at men and men's brains. I just think for women, we need things explained a little bit differently, which is part of the reason why I've done this SEO week. It's very corporate, isn't it? Even the YouTube videos that you watch, I feel like I just don't get it. And it's not aimed at us creative types. We have these wild brains, don't we, that are firing off in all directions all the time. Sometimes I'm sure I've got, ADHD or something. I can't concentrate on one thing. And I just really felt like there was a gap in the market for some kind of advice on SEO for women like us that just think that a little bit differently, and we need it explaining differently. So I've decided that I'm going to help you. I'm going to save you some time, save you the headache, and I'm running some sessions for anybody who wants some extra help right now just to get it right. They're going to be 45 minutes long, all about keywords. It can be done on video call, so you can literally be anywhere in the world. We can do it together. I just decided it wasn't a great idea to compile a list of instructions that tells you how to do it, because, most likely it's going to confuse you more, or it might end up in a pile of papers under the fruit bowl in your kitchen table. You know, they're the ones that I was sorting out this week, by the way. Got a huge pile of them. And I don't want it to be there. I don't want it to be under the fruit on your kitchen table. So I decided that I'm going to get online with you and I'm going to teach you exactly how to do it. That you'll actually be able to see my computer screen. So I can show you how to do it together, because it's easier that way. You know, I'm a very visual person. I think a lot of creative people are visual learners as well. So I find it works really well to actually show you, so you can leave the session feeling confident with what you've learned. So what you're going to get, you'll get 45 minutes, just me and you. We're going to research your business, your product, your service, whatever it is that you want to sell or show people and get seen. We're going to come up with an actual list, like a tangible list of words, of all the keywords that you should be using to promote your business or service. And they might not actually be the ones that you think, just like they weren't for me. So you'll come away with a takeaway document, which I'll email to you, and it's going to have the best keywords for your niche that you can literally implement straight away. No messing around. Okay, because it can take 12 weeks to take effect. So you don't want to hang around. We're going to be using Google Keyword Planner. I'll teach you how to use it. Again, you'll be able to see my screen. So we'll use my account and I can show you how to do it. It's totally free. And I'm also going to show you a few other tips and tricks that you can do to find what's trending and use terms that will get you ahead of your mortal enemy, that person that's always popping up there on Google before you. Because we've all got one, haven't we? As much as we won't ever admit it, we've got one. And I'm also going to give you some surprising ideas, like for new products and services, because when you search things and when you find these keywords and you can see what people are looking for, there might be something within your industry that you've not thought of, and you think, oh, they're looking for that, I could do that. And obviously your niche might be saturated a bit like mine is, so it's finding that thing that people are looking for that there's not a lot of other people doing, so you can get ahead and look at different things that you could offer. Just get ahead of your competitors. That's what we need. That's what we want to be looking for. So this session I'm going to be offering is going to be £60, which I hope you feel is affordable. I want to give you as much value as I can for your money, and I promise that you'll most definitely get that. It's something that I've thought long and hard about, and I really feel like I can get you and your business out there and in front of the right people. I've done it for myself, so I want to do it for you. And who's it for? Anyone with a small business or service who's trying to get their products or offering seen. It's that simple. You'll obviously need to have some kind of online presence. So either be a website, an Etsy shop, social media page. It'll work throughout all those places. I mean, a website is optimal. Honestly, my personal opinion is it's something that all small businesses should have. Even if it's just a simple 5-page website. It doesn't have to be anything singing, dancing, nothing too complicated. Just to tell people who you are, what you do, how to get in touch with you, and where to buy your stuff. You don't even have to have like an e-commerce shop. You don't have to shell out for the expense of that, because I know that they're hard to do. I've got one, but I did it myself only because I've been doing it a long time, so I know how. But it is difficult and it can be expensive. So you don't have to sell on your website. You can always sell through a third party like Etsy, and you can just direct people to your Etsy shop from your website. If you sell in person and you don't have an Etsy shop, maybe you do a lot of craft fairs, then you can use your website to list where you're going to be, so people will know where to find you to make a purchase, because that's what you want to be doing. You want to be letting people know how they can buy your stuff or book you or find your services. Like, where can they do that? Where can they actually do that transaction? So I really recommend that if you haven't got a website, look into it. Say they're cheap enough now to build yourself on these website platforms, and it is worth it. And you'll be able to implement those keywords in there. But even using keywords on social media is crucial to being seen by the right people. You want to be putting them in your captions and your hashtags. Okay, they might not be as ready to buy as, say, someone sat down at their desk, who's frantically Googling personalised teacher gifts. I need to do that, reminder. But it's got more chance of catching the eye of the right person or the audience if you are using the keywords that they're searching out or they're following on social media. So my keyword session, it is live on my website now on Her Handmade Hustle. For anyone who fancies it, I would love it if you could come on board and book me in. That would make me feel great and less invisible. But I'm going to put the link in the show notes. But you can also find it if you visit herhandmadehustle.co.uk. Visit the shop section and you'll see it there under one-off business support sessions. And you can just purchase a session on there. Then I will message you and we'll sort out a day and a time that's convenient for you to do it. So that's a little bit about how I can help you, but I just wanted to come back to the other things that you can do to help yourself be found as well, in addition to this, because the truth is you need a little bit of everything in order for the SEO work to truly do its job. And we're just going to run through those now. I'm going to tell you 6 or 7 things that you can do to help optimize your visibility on Google. So number 1, you need to be writing good content, descriptive, easy to read. It's got to be clear. It's got to feel natural and free flowing. Use shorter sentences, include your keywords, make it readable. Number 2, try and get yourself featured on other websites. So there's something called backlinks, and they're links that are on other sites that go back to yours. And it actually increases your chance of popping up on Google, especially if you've been featured on quite a high profile website or one that's popular that Google knows is a credible source, because then it'll push you in front of the right audience because it trusts that source. It may not know you, may not know your website, but if you've been featured on somebody else's, then it knows that you're legitimate. So it's more likely to show it to people, because at the end of the day, Google's out there working for the user. So you've got to think like that. So for example, when I started Vintage Tree, I remember I contacted a popular blog at the time called Love My Dress. She was I think she's still going actually, a wedding sort of blogger. And I contacted her and asked if she'd do a feature on me, and she did. And she had my website link on there, and still to this day it comes up, and we're talking 14 years ago now, and it still comes up as a source of Vintage Tree. So I think when you type in handmade wedding stationery or something like that, it comes up as Love My Dress rather than Vintage Tree, but it links back to me. So Google knows that Love My Dress had a very popular website, so it put it out there. It trusted it as a source. Number 3, I mentioned it before, always rename your image files before uploading them online. You want to be using keywords in there so Google can read what's in the photo. So that's what it is. So you might have heard of something called alt text, ALT text, and it's basically a description that tells Google what's in the photo that you've got to write. And you can do that by either putting it in the title of your image files, like I say, renaming your file, or on some websites there's a separate box that says add your alt text. I think you can do it on Etsy now as well. It also works if you're in the service industry, so it doesn't matter if you're not selling products. You can rename all the images on your website with your job title, include your keywords in the images. It doesn't just have to be a product. Number 4, what's really important for SEO is websites. They have to be fast. They have to be secure and accessible, because at the end of the day, like I say, Google is working for the user. It wants us to have the best user experience possible. So it's only going to put websites in front of people that are fast and they're secure and they're easy to use. Number 5, make sure your website is mobile friendly. Again, if you use one of these popular platforms to build it, these cheaper ones, they're great. They're absolutely brilliant. They're all optimized, ready for mobile. They have different modes for desktop, tablet and mobile. So it does it automatically for you. But it must be mobile friendly, because Google is drawing its results now from mobile optimized sites first, because it knows that's what people are using more of. So it's really important that your website is responsive and optimized for a mobile device. Number 6, age. Now, for once, an advantage to getting old, Google favours websites that are 3 or more years old. They do perform better. So if you haven't got one, you might have to be prepared to be patient if you're just setting up. If you have got one, Her Handmade Hustle is only just nearly a year old now. So that obviously is gaining momentum. We have to give it some time. So you might just have to be patient, like I say, but it's important that you have a presence on there. And if you haven't got one, start it as soon as you can. And number 7, these meta descriptions I talked about earlier, the little descriptions, snippets of information that appear underneath the title on Google when someone types in a search and the results come up. You can access them on your website, or your website provider can do it for you, whoever's built it for you. Your Etsy shop, that all counts as a meta description if you've got a bio, but you must keep it under 160 characters for Google to favour it. So it doesn't want loads of spiel, it wants to be summarised. What it is you do, it shouldn't be too long at all. And they always say that it's a really good idea to put like a call to action at the end. So you've got your little description of what you do, and then at the end you can say shop now, or find out more. Just give your buyers a reason to click on it. So these are just a few things that you can be aware of. But let's start with getting your keywords sorted, because that is how people are going to find you. And it's going to be people who are actively looking for what you offer, which, ultimately is what you need to make a sale. You've got to be in front of the right people. So that is my take on keywords. I hope that's helped you. And, I've tried as best as I can to put it in simple terms of things that you can do that are manageable, that are achievable, because I know it's frightening and it's like puts you off, doesn't it? The second you think about it, you think, oh God, no, I'd rather be making pretty things. Me too, to be honest, but what's the point if no one's going to see them? So as you know, if you've listened to my podcast before, I always like to end on a story, something relevant to what we've been talking about, that's vaguely entertaining and useful. I know I've got a lot of stories, I always have, and a few people have told me that they enjoy listening to them throughout my podcast, so I'm going to keep including them, okay, unless my listener ratings go massively downhill. So we've been talking about being seen this episode, like I say, and being visible. And I have not felt it at all this week, as I mentioned at the beginning. And it was getting me down. Anyway, so I wrote the notes for this podcast episode yesterday. And it was really funny because I woke up this morning and it's two funny things. The first one was I had this message on Instagram on Her Handmade Hustle, and I thought, oh yes, finally somebody's replied. So I clicked on it and there was this picture of this like quite handsome man. Didn't look real, like one of these fake accounts. And the title was, oh, hi, beautiful. I've just seen your profile and I just had to message you. You look amazing. Anyway, obviously blocked him, but it did make me laugh because I thought, I've just been talking about being invisible and then that pops up. And then the next thing I did was I like to check every now and again on my podcast ratings, and I look on Spotify and see where I'm appearing. So I've got this goal to get in the charts. I want to be on the entrepreneur charts. That's my goal. And I'm gaining popularity. It's going well, but I'm not there yet. But I thought, I'll sort of like search myself on Spotify, because it works a bit like Google. You've got a search bar and you can type in certain phrases to see if you come up. So I typed in Women in Business podcast and I came up. I was like, oh my God, I'm up. I'm finally up. I'm on page 1. But I was right next to this other podcast. So it said like Joanne Pierce, Her Handmade Hustle. And then right next to me was another podcast for women called Winning in the Nude. I was like, great. Okay. Not quite what I'm about, but I'll take it. I'm visible. I'm fine. I can deal with that. So that made me laugh this morning. And I guess what I'm saying is, if you're feeling unseen lately, like no matter what you do, it doesn't appear to work, I'm here to tell you that it will. I don't give up. Okay. And if you've made it to the end of this episode, then you obviously don't either. And that goes for everything in life. It goes for work. It goes for everything that you may be going through. You're not a quitter. Okay, we will get there. And we'll get there together. And I promise you that if I am on board with you, I won't give up with you either. I don't quit until I succeed. So remember, if you need any help and you want to take advantage of the keyword session that I'm offering, please let me know. I would love to help you. I promise it's not scary at all. And I want to make sure that you leave feeling confident in what you've learned and totally capable of how you can implement it in your business to get your amazing stuff and your wonderful services seen by the right people. I'm going to shut up now. I'm going to go and grab a little bit of sunshine while it's still out. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you've enjoyed it. Do let me know in the comments if you can. Leave me a rating or a review. That all helps me get in the charts. So if you can give me a star after you've listened to this, whatever platform you're on, that would be amazing. And I shall be back next week for more talk about creative businesses, female entrepreneurs, and everything in between. Thanks for listening.